This is the network service of the NTA.
Hey, how are you doing? Yes, you. I'm talking to you. How are you doing today? It is good to see you. Of course, this is a show where we give you everything beautiful and, of course, great conversation. This is the Medley Show, and I am saying welcome to the show. My name is Tochi, of course, and as always, I will be taking you through the next 1 hour in something very, very interesting, beautiful, and I am very, very sure that you are going to love. You believe me, right? Yes, you always do. I know you believe me. I have great audience. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about something that gladdens my heart. It's always an exciting thing when we get to celebrate women. I am a woman, so anything that gives women the thumbs up, hey, count me in. Today we'll be talking about women in sports. Okay, yes, we'll be talking about the likes of Blessing Akabere, Choma Junwa, Mary Onyali, Toby Amusan, the likes of female footballer Asisat Oshola, all of them, Amy Okonkwo. So we'll be majoring mostly on basketball, football, and track and field. So I hope you're as excited as I am because we're bringing you some good stuff today. If you love sports, then please gather around, call your friends, family, everyone. Let's celebrate our women and how far they've come in sports in our country. First of all, let me give you something like a tip, set the tone for our conversation today. Let me take you through female football success. Let's give you something on female football success story in Nigeria so far. Watch this and we'll be right back to talk about it. Stay with us.
What a man can do, a woman can do better. So the saying goes. And when you look around the world of Nigerian football, the various female football teams have surpassed their male counterparts in certain areas of the round leather game. For example, the Super Falcons have been champions of Africa 9 times to the 3 times the Super Eagles have been champions of Africa.
Nigeria are the 9th champions in this competition.
As regards the World Cup, the Super Falcons have reached the quarterfinals, while the Super Eagles have only reached the round of 16. While at the All Africa Games, the women have won the competition twice. As for the Falconets, they have reached the final of the World Cup twice, losing to Germany on both occasions in 2010 and 2014, and also qualified for the World Cup 10 times between 2002 and 2022. They also won gold at the All Africa Games of 2019.
I really don't feel...
Well, maybe here come Nigeria for a chance, quickly from one end of the field to the other.
Feats that the Flying Eagles have not been able to attain. Although the Flamingos, as the under-17 ladies are called, have not been able to match their counterparts, the Golden Eaglets on the world stage, on the continent, they have won 3 more championships than the Eaglets. In all these, our women have made the country proud, both on the continent and on the world stage. Despite the controversies surrounding their sponsorship and welfare, these women always make the country proud.
Indeed, these women always make Nigeria proud. I'm sure, I think I know what you're thinking. Maybe the last World Cup we did not win it. Yes, I know. But we went far enough, yeah, and we've gone farther than that several other times. So it's always good to celebrate how far that we have come. So we will be talking a little bit about our female footballers for a bit. And of course, I have some guests in the studio who will be weighing in on the conversation for today. First of all, I'm going to introduce a female Yes, we're celebrating females. So I'm going to introduce a female retired football referee in the person of Mimisen Calvin Onwuka. Mimisen, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So you're ready to, hype our women a little bit. So at least they know what we're doing. We're trying. So that we need to blow our trumpet even if we don't blow it for us.
We have to.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we're joined by Godwin Nwidobie. Did I call that right?
Thank you very much. Yeah, you tried actually.
Okay, so help me. Godwin what?
Godwin Nwidobie.
Nwidobie. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank
so
you.
you also help us, to analyze some of the things that our female footballers or female athletes have done as we celebrate ourselves today.
Yes, that's why we're here this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you
I
very
like
much.
the excitement already. So, okay, so let's start with Mimisen. You're a retired football coach, football referee.
Yes.
Let's start with talking about that career. How was that for you? How did you even get into it, and how was that?
I'm going to talk about it for like the opt-in time now.
Okay. At least we haven't heard it yet. So
Of
let's hear
course,
it.
I'm always willing to talk about it because I was introduced to refereeing by my mom.
Wow. Was
Yes.
she?
She was also a referee at the time.
Wow.
Yes. So just right after secondary school, she enrolled me. That was in 2000 and up until last year when I retired. In January this year, actually.
Okay. Was it
when I
your choice to
retired.
retire, or
Yes, it was.
you felt you've had enough?
Yes. I had given myself a target,
Okay.
and the target was the World Cup.
Right.
Yes.
Did you do that?
So I did the Under-20 World Cup last year in Costa Rica.
Nice.
So I was looking forward to this year. If I was going to be called to Australia, fine. I would retire after the World Cup. If not, then there's no point doing the year. I would retire so someone else can fill in the shoes and would use the year to train them. So
Okay, so how is the job of a female referee these days? Like, what does your job entail? And how do
Everything.
you make the match better?
it
Of course, we
entails-
know that referees blow the whistle. I mean, that's all I can tell that you do.
Of
I don't
course.
know about about the
course.
guests. So tell us
They
about
are the
what your job-
judges. So
Okay.
if you watch the round ladder game going up and down, the referee is just there at most 10 meters away, trying to make sure that there's fair play, trying to judge if anybody commits any foul that the game needs to be stopped for,
Okay.
and all of those things, just making sure that the players behave while entertaining people who are watching.
In other words, you're the present eyes
Yes.
of every other person watching.
course.
You show us what we don't see.
Of
Okay,
course.
and you help us understand the match better. So let me come to you, Godwin. So we're talking female football.
Yeah.
As an analyst, where would you say, how well would you say our female athletes are doing at the moment? Let me start with that question first.
Well, I will give it up to them because it's not easy competing in a men's environment. You
Yeah.
understand? Because the round ladder game mostly is dominated or is controlled by the men. You understand? More of the men. Even if you watch them play football, you understand the females.
Yeah.
But the core of the coaching staff behind the management, the money put together, are controlled by the men, you understand, most times. So it's not an easy task, and I'll give it up to Nigeria because looking at the various female teams we have in Nigeria, the Rivers Angels, Bayelsa Queens, Edo Queens, Pelican Stars, and so on and so forth. If you go deep down in what's happening in their various club sides, you will weep for them, because let's talk about
They
how
don't get the accolades that they deserve.
yes, not just the accolades. Let's put them at par with their male athletes. Now,
Okay.
for example, I know Bayelsa Queens very well in Bayelsa, and I also know Bayelsa United. How much do they pay the let's talk about the sign-on first. Do they give the female athletes, the players, a good sign-on when they buy them from any other club into their current club? No. As compared to their male counterparts.
Yeah.
Do they pay as much as they pay the male counterparts?
don't.
No. You go to their camp, it's not as equipped or coordinated, or how will I ever put it, the facilities they have to train and so on and so forth. They don't have all that the male counterparts do have, you understand? But in that kind of circumstances, they still thrive. They still struggle to give their best.
Much more than the men. I mean, I like to add that part.
You understand? So
Much more than the
So in
men.
the environment, you could see and you could actually celebrate them, because with the little that they come across their way, they still manage to get to that top level and give their best. If you go through the history of the likes of Sister Toshola, the likes of Ajibade, who are actually flying Nigeria flag high at the various club side. Go back in time memory and go back how they started at various club side in Nigeria. You wait for them. Most times they go train, come back, and there's no food and so on and so forth. But even with that, they have their eyes set on the goal and on the target. And they kept pushing. That's actually the story I want you to understand. In as much as there are no much more for them, they still have
pushing and making their impact.
Yes, knowing
and
fully well that
with all that, they are not getting as much celebration as they should get.
Yes,
it's sad. I understand
because
that.
Incentive and encouragement is key. You understand? Because government need to come in, the private investors need to come in, because football is not just about kicking the round leather game. It's much more than that, you understand? So I feel that the female athlete needs to get the much support that they need as per what the male counterparts also have.
Okay, so I'll come back to you, Mimisan. You are a referee. So he's talked about them not getting as much resources or attention as they should. In spite of that, they are still doing very. Let me talk about your job as a referee now. Have female referees faced the same unique challenges in gaining media attention, resources, everything that they deserve to, that they should get to make their job better?
Worse than the footballers.
I'm sorry, what?
It's worse for referees than the footballers.
Okay, let's hear it.
They only remember a referee when a game goes bad.
Right.
Maybe when a game doesn't end in the favor of the team that wants the game to end. That's only when you remember a referee. As soon as you get off the field, the referee's chapter has closed. I retired back last year. I was in a major final at the Women AFCON. I got into Nigeria unnoticed. I was the only Nigerian referee in Costa Rica. I got back into Nigeria unnoticed. I was the first trio at Chan. That's the second biggest African tournament. I came back to Nigeria unnoticed.
Okay, so why do you think that is?
Because nobody gives a damn about who these people are.
Because you do a lot of work. So
Too much work.
Godwin, why do you think that is, though?
Well, they do a lot of work behind the scene, and from the angle she's actually coming from, we should support them more, because when the game is played, the 90 minutes, the attention is on the referee. You understand? If any officiating or any decision taken at any point in time goes bad, you want to call for the head of the referee. You understand? So they need the support even before the match comes up. You understand? They need that attention. They need that support. They need that encouragement. You understand? They need everything, even after the match. That's like she just explained now.
I understand.
So in as much as was saying one or two things here, I believe that the organizer, the managers of the sports, you understand, in its entirety, should look into that aspect. Their welfare is key, is important, because if a referee, for example, leaves his home, let's say a referee in Nigeria, like she just said, leaves her home.
Say her? Thank you.
Like a referee, let's use her as an example. If, for example, she leaves her home back in Nigeria and goes for a Nations Cup qualifiers, for example, and their home front is not in order, you understand, let's say financial crisis or something, and she gets into that tournament, and for example, let's tell ourselves the basic truth. If any incentives come out before the match from either side, she could, as well as, let me use this, for example, to sort my family back home, and I will give the match to the highest bidder. Not the best she will offer on the pitch, but she will give it to the highest bidder on that day, because the money, for example, that has come before the match will be used to take care of our family back home in Nigeria, for example.
Okay, I thought where you were going with that is if they're able to sort them out before the match starts, so that she's able to settle her family, in turn, she'll be able to give her best to the match.
Yes. Now, but if that is not done by the organizers and managers of the game, and it comes from the back door, let's tell ourselves the basic truth. Corruption will always find its way in any angle or in any business or in any market. So These are the things we are saying, that they should be encouraged, they should be given the support, they should be provided with everything they need so that they turn their eyes away from things like that. Because if they don't, that's why you see when a major...
Are you saying that happens in the matches?
It happens in
Oh my
everywhere,
God.
not just in a
want to talk
particular
about-
match. You understand? But
Okay, that's not a good thing to hear, honestly, because
you wouldn't
in
understand how
particular-
these things happen.
I mean, I'm trying to understand it, and that's why we're bringing it out here, so that some other people can
For
also understand.
For example, let's say, let me use a typical example. A match is going on, and let's say nothing happened, and the match is supposed to end. The both sides are tense. Let's say they give 3 minutes for the match, for example. If something has happened between the referee and a team that wants to win that match, the referee can, 3 minutes has ended, and the referee can still say play on until a goal come before the referee ends the match. You wouldn't understand why that happened.
Why that happened. That's
So
true. Anyway, I understand how the referee has to take the heat for whatever goes wrong in the match, because I read, I think 2 or 3 days ago, though it was not a female football, a match that happened in Ebonyi State or so, and then because it didn't go in the direction that the crowd wanted it, they attacked the referee. The referee, the players and their fans attacked the referee.
It's
and
common in
so
Nigeria,
I understand that,
and it's something that will kill Nigerian football.
Okay, so let me talk to you now. Let's talk about stereotypes and biases. So, what kind of stereotypes or biases have you encountered that are related to female referees in Nigeria? Maybe in selections. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like, let's talk about what you've had to deal with. How have you been stereotyped as a female referee, or what biases have you had to deal with?
Everything that goes with a female outside of football happens with a referee with stereotypes.
Okay.
You could go in a game, a men's game, and the guy will tell you, shift. Your mate's the kitchen.
Yeah.
Or you
Are
could
you
just,
serious?
Yes. You could just be carrying out inspection in the tunnel just before the game. And they'll tell you, I beg, I get your mate for house.
Oh my God, that's so
Yes.
hurtful.
And if the game goes in a way that they don't want, they could call you any form of names. Like those ones like Ash and all of those things, Asha and all of those are normal names. If you would call me now, I won't feel anything around about
So you had
it.
to grow a thick skin?
Yes, you would have to.
Okay, so we're going to go on a break, but before we do that, I just want to hear you say, how were you able to, what kept you going? Because I haven't heard you give me one positive reaction to your work, any positive testimony from your job, but yet you've been in it since the year 2000,
yes.
and this is 2023.
Yeah.
So how did you keep
There
going?
were positives. When I started, I was doing remedial studies in Benin State University at the time, and I was going out of the school compound dressed in sports attire.
Okay.
So someone asked me, are you going to play badminton? I said, no, I'm going to the stadium. And they said, for what? I said, for refereeing. He said, refereeing as football? I said, yes, football refereeing. And they were like, wow, do women do that? So knowing that there were a few women who were doing that.
Who appreciated you.
Yes, and this was coming from a guy.
Right.
Yeah. So because he was wowed at me being a referee at the time, I knew that I could create more wows, and that's what I did all through. I kept the negatives behind me, and I just
And
kept
you just,
crossing
like
all
you
the
said,
hurdles.
kept your eyes on the goal.
On the goal, yes.
Okay. Anyway, we'll still come back to continue the conversation, but right now, I did tell you we're going to talk about football, track and field, and basketball. Right now, let's delve into the world of basketball. Let's bring you something. Basketball success story in Nigeria from the women so far. Watch this.
Their achievements are downright legendary as they continue to carry Nigeria's spirit of excellence against all odds, breaking records and barriers.
We have seen some basketball magic right here at the end of the third quarter. Look at that!
First instance, at Olympic, not only earned medals but won a historic gold medal at the 2003 All-African Games in Abuja, Nigeria. In the Youth Championships categories, the Nigerian under-18 and under-19 women's basketball teams have also excelled in various youth championships, demonstrating the country's commitment to nurturing young talents. Coming down to the World Championships participation and Commonwealth Games, the Tigress achieved commendable performances, received multiple awards, and continue to highlight their dominance at the global stages. Aside from that, the Tigress head coach, Rena Wakama, also put an end to 57 years of male supremacy in women's basketball in Africa after she won the competition in 2023.
Something was missing, right? I didn't know if I wanted to coach or not. I was kind of down about it, and something was missing. So I volunteered with one of my old teams and started to coach with them and started to train those girls. And my love started to come back, my passion started to come back, because that transition from a player to a coach is hard. I tell you, it's God. It's nothing but God. This has been probably the most memorable and probably the best 3 weeks of my life. Earlier this year, I was even contemplating, it was probably one of the toughest coaching years I've had. And I was on the verge of really questioning, like, God, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Just give me a sign. And I kept with it, just, trying to figure it out. And June 30th was the biggest sign that he could give me. And he told me, hey, pretty much this is what you're supposed to do. This is your calling. So stay in it and I'll bless you beyond words. And that's exactly what happened.
The success stories of the Nigerian female basketball teams are undoubtedly a testament that no challenge is too big and no dream is out of reach.
Amazing. I feel like I could do a dance for the Tigress as well. I mean, they made us so proud this year at the last FIBA. And of course, I think that's the fourth consecutive time they're winning that trophy. And it is, of course, it's something to celebrate. So if you just joined, this is still the Medley Show, and we are celebrating women in sports. And of course, I have Godwin and Mimesan in the studio, and we're still talking female women in sports. So Godwin, I mean, say something about the Tigers. Come on.
Like I've always said, my posture is that determination and hard work will lead you to success. You understand? That's been the story of all female athletes in Nigeria. I talk about those in track and field, those in football and basketball. If you want to succeed, for example, as a female in basketball, you must find a way out of the country. Let's talk about what's happening right now in the Basketball Federation. The men are actually stifling the federation. There are two factions struggling for the soul of the federation.
Oh, wow.
And what do you expect the ABBF or something? How do they survive? You understand? How will the funding come when male actually stifling the sports because of position and power? You understand? Nigeria couldn't, the male counterpart couldn't qualify for the World Cup because of two factions struggling for who will be in control of the federation. So,
wait, you're talking about the Tigers now?
Yeah, I'm talking about the male.
Yeah.
You understand? So you could see that. Look at the story of the coach. You understand? She progressed from being a player to a coach. It wasn't easy. You understand? And you could see the determination of the female even in the finals or in the tournament that they qualified. They went into they were defeated initially when they started that tournament. In their first match, they were defeated, but with determination and with the vigor and the strength, the belief they have in themselves. You understand? And the cohesion in the team, they were able to scale through and they got to the finals and they won. That is the Nigerian belief. You understand, of every determined athlete.
You know, through the conversation, since we started talking, one word that you've constantly used is determination. I would say, I mean, because if the men gets more concession than the women do for every sport, and the women seem to be doing better, are we saying the women are more determined than the men are?
Yes, the women are more determined. Definitely. You understand? I will give it to them.
So why are we not celebrating them as much as we should?
For example, it's not story. We've seen in Nigeria that a female national team went to the World Cup went into all the matches, won all their matches, won the World Cup, sorry, the Nations Cup, and they were owed their what's it called, their allowances. And they had to stay back in the country. The hotel ejected them, as it happened to the male team.
Wow.
Let's start from there. Has it
I
happened
don't
to
know the
any
details,
male team?
but I'm shocked.
That's
And
the way.
yet they keep pushing.
Yes.
And now I agree with, I mean, I've heard that statement several times. If you saw one of our features, one of them started with what a man can do, a woman can do better. I think I agree right now. I totally agree.
You understand? And you should also understand that it's not that easy for our female athletes. You understand? Whether in boxing, in football or something, to easily go across the shores of this country into greater clubs without that skill and how will I even put it? Without what's the word now? I'm trying to get the word. If you're not built for it, it's very few players who have outside playing the trade in football in Europe. You understand? If let's go back to this World Cup Nigeria just participated in, we had to bring Plumter from England and so on and so forth. Look at the team; they were all foreign-based players. How many of the home-based team players made the team to this last World Cup?
Wow. I like that this is coming from him.
Man.
Because imagine if I was the one saying it, they would think I'm just trying to blow up
You
things.
understand?
You get? So there is nothing here that can build up anybody. Basically nothing.
Determination.
There's no infrastructure. There's no support. There's not enough qualified coaches or trainers. There's no place for you to go and get recovery if you get injured. There's nothing basically on ground to groom anybody to a standard, that standard where Nigerians keep criticizing someone to get to.
And yet you keep pushing.
Yes, and yet you keep breaking grounds and trying to achieve things, and then nobody recognizes you for it.
Okay, I know basketball is not your specialty, but
No,
at least
but
you know, have an
my
idea of all
immediate
sports.
elder sister, as I was watching it, I could see one of her teammates.
Oh, wow.
One of the assistant coaches is my elder sister's teammate.
Okay, so at
she
least you
played
have
in
an
Olympics
idea
in
of what happens
in 2003.
basketball. Because I was going to ask, basketball, do they have referees? I'm sorry.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so
Every
they do,
sport
right?
has referees.
So,
The same thing happens with them.
yeah, so that's what I want to know.
They
How
need to
are
find-
female referees in basketball, if they deal with the same thing that
They
you
are
have
all,
to deal with?
all referees are dealing with the same thing. If you can't hear about football referees, which is like the major sport, then what more would you say about the smaller sports, those sports where Nigerians
won't
only
call
hear
basketball
about?
a small
No, I'm
sport.
imagining that's how Nigerians rank them. You know,
Oh, really?
Yes,
The king of the sport
yes.
is
Everybody
football.
talks about football,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then
Others
nobody
around
talks
the
about
world,
yes. But they also have referees who also need the same things, but they don't get it. Yes, they have international referees who are ranked in Nigeria
Okay, so
for
what
basketball.
would you say about because I'm going to need two of you to answer this question.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, it feels like when we want to do better, we have referees in Nigeria,
Yeah.
we have athletes in Nigeria, we have
Yes.
footballers in Nigeria, but it looks like every time we have to do something, we have to bring. At that time, we now recognize those Nigerians who are living outside the country.
It's because
as
they are doing well at their various club sites.
So yeah, I was going to talk about international club placements of,
Okay.
but I want to know why. Why do you think they always have to bring? Let me hear from
Okay.
you, Emerson.
The people, like he said in
Yeah.
the beginning, the ones here do not have the quality that the ones abroad do have.
Why do they lack that?
Because
quality?
there's, like I mentioned, there's no infrastructure. You go there and their training grounds do not have grass. Maybe they are probably training it in a primary school field.
But if the ones here have to deal with that for training, the ones who, like the ones here can't deal with that, when they bring you from abroad, and you're coming from a better infrastructure, how do you now deal with training
That's why
in
they
Nigeria?
train in Europe and take all their training camps abroad. Because we don't have enough equipment here to take care of the trainings that they need to do to prepare them for tournaments. That's why they
think so?
take their training tours out there.
Excellently and perfectly. You know, the challenges here in Nigeria, the infrastructures aren't there. A typical example just happened over the weekend. Nigeria played Lesotho in the Nations Cup qualifiers, our last match. Saitome Principe, sorry. Now,
Is that a female?
no,
Something,
the male.
I want to
I'm
talk
coming.
about women today.
I know where I'm actually going to.
Okay.
Now, that match, where was it supposed to be played? Ask yourself, was it not supposed to be played in Abuja?
Right, yeah. At the
But
stadium.
where did they have to shift that match to? To Uyo. Because that is the only stadia for now that could match CAF requirements.
Oh, wow.
That's it. And that's what we're saying. The
It
infrastructure
looks like
goes
our
back
sports
it's
sector generally is plagued with a lot of things.
a lot. Because like she just said, how do you train these coaches? How do you train them, for example? How do you select them for training, both locally and abroad? For example, let me go again to use another example. Finidi George is the coach of Eyimba Football Club. I'm coming. I'll give you an example. I'm coming. It's example I'm actually giving.
Even the female teams are being trained by male coaches.
Right.
See, I'm coming. I know where I'm actually taking you
go
to.
ahead, sorry.
Now, Finidi George is the coach of Eyimba Football Club.
Yeah.
They went away for their CAF Champions League match. In that match, Finidi George and the assistant coach actually was not part of the team because they don't have CAF license. They have UEFA license.
Okay.
And so for a CAF match, they were not qualified to be part of the crew of the team to prosecute that match. And in both legs, they stayed away from the team. And what happened to Eyimba Football Club? They got crashed out of the tournament. So that's what we're saying. How do you give these coaches, the trainers, the basic requirements? You understand? How do you train them? How do you equip them? Because for her, like she just said, she's been part of the nations in our field. She's been part of Nations Cup in Africa and even in the world. Now, after she had come and gone, for example, how many other coaches do you hear their names in this tournament that we're saying here or we're mentioning? How did they select them? You could see a tournament that want to unfold the entire tournament. You hardly see one Nigerian referee in the tournament.
Last night,
it's because we don't meet the requirements. And how do you meet the requirements? There are criteria you must meet.
Okay.
There are conditions you must actually pass through.
Okay, Godwin.
You understand? So those are the challenges that we have in Nigeria.
Yeah. I know there are a lot of challenges, and because they're enormous, we find ourselves delving into that a lot. But I want to celebrate what we've done. That's what I want to do.
That is why
so
I said, in
about
spite of all of these challenges,
I
you
don't want
still need to give it to them because they are determined inwardly. They have that fire burning in them to succeed, and that's why when they get up to that stage, in spite of what they pass through
before they get there,
to
they
that
put
stage,
in their
they
best.
put in their best and they give it their best shot because it's like it is now or never. Okay. So at that point, that's why when you see them winning tournament, you see them winning World Nations Cup, you see them, it's like a do or die for them, and they are happy. Even if the money doesn't come.
Place of joy.
Yes, because they know that at last we have broken the shackles, and this is success for me, and that's why immediately they get into Europe. And when they go when they go overseas to their club sites in Europe, you see them taking the lead.
Shine.
You see them are shining because they have the raw strength, they have the talent.
The challenge is peculiar with where they're coming from.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about. I want to talk about it, but you're familiar with about female basketball players.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Amy Okonkwo. Okay. I mean, in the last, I want to talk about her game. I know she's not here, but at least she plays for Nigeria. In the last tournament, which Nigeria won, she was given, I think, golden boots or something. Yeah. I don't know what they call it. Yeah. So I want to talk about her game. How much impact do you think she's like? She's not here, like I said. Most of them are not here.
Yeah.
But they still remember to play for Nigeria.
Yes.
So how much impact do you think they've been able to make on other young girls who want to play like them with the kind of game that they play?
Yes, when they go over there, they make the success, they succeed, they make the money. To encourage the team or the sport they are in back home, when they come, what do? They try to set up foundations, they try to build stadia, they try to build facilities so that the young ones who are coming after them could train in that. Yes, could train in that. And that's why I said it's not just them alone. The government need to also partner with them. Multinationals need to also partner with them. It's not an easy task. You understand? So Because how much are they being paid in their various club sites, for example? When they come back, it is that money they earn abroad that they use to build these things back home. Now, maintenance is also a factor, because when they come for holidays and they see these things, they go back. How are these facilities being maintained back home? So that's the challenge. So what I just have said is that the support of everybody in the sector needs to come in. The government need to support them, stop this ill fighting, stop this power tussle, stop whatever, and give these athletes, the players, the support. Government need to be there, and also the multinationals, because it's not going to be easy. If you compare what happens abroad, most stadiums, for example, how these sports thrive. Big players, multinationals are part of sports.
Okay, so we're going to run a break, but before we go there, I just want to quickly ask. You did mention, she said it so that football is the king of sports, and then every other one follows. Yeah. But I think it feels like basketball seems to be doing much more than football. That's what I feel from the results that I have seen. Okay, even if it isn't, how do we encourage? Because everybody wants to play football. I don't know if we have as much people wanting to participate in sports like basketball as well. So seeing what these ladies are doing, the Tigress, how do we get more young people, grassroots participation in a sports like basketball?
It's by providing the infrastructure. If the infrastructures are not there, you can't train.
This infrastructure seems to always come up.
For example, if you say basketball dunk, if it's not there, where will you be throwing your ball to? Will you be throwing it on the screen?
Oh,
will you throw it on your roof? So that's actually what I was saying. The infrastructure must be there. You understand?
To encourage
Because if I say, for example, I like a basketballer and I want to emulate a basketballer, what does a basketballer do? Every morning he or she gets his or her kit and goes outside and do the dunking and so on and so forth. Now, if I want to do it and the infrastructure isn't there, what will I be doing?
Okay, but we'll still get back into this conversation, but let's look at something on track and field before we move on. So this is a feature on, more like, not really a feature, but let's show you some success stories by female athletes in the area of track and field. Watch this and we'll be right back.
This is good running by Nigeria in lane number 4. All look pretty safe on the changeovers. Imani Lansiko flying down the back straight, as is Pedro Fili of Nigeria. Second changeover, hands held high. Australia on the outside in lane 8 going well. Nigeria, though, flying round with Chukwuma on the third leg. Hands back for the Nigerians. A roar from her teammates. Nigeria going to take this one, even with Darren Leach in second. Keeping over Thompson here. The Jamaican superstar comes through for bronze for the Jamaican side. But 42.10 seconds, just outside the... So Onyekwere of Nigeria in round number 4, her best 56.42. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's got a good flight on it. And she's waving to anybody that's looking in her direction. And that happens to be over 30,000 people here in Alexander Stadium.
Nigerian throwers. Great atmosphere towards the end of our opening evening session of action here in Birmingham. And we've still got 2 more finals to come. 2 cracking, para-athletics showdowns.
Was treating herself on that occasion before coming here to Birmingham.
But silver by 1 centimeter. Everyone in the stadium is clapping in unison. Can she get that extra centimeter? That is close. I'm not sure about whether or not that was behind the board, but it doesn't matter because she is the Commonwealth Games champion. As Tim said, she won it in 2014 as an 8-year-old. As an 18-year-old. Oh, 8-year-old, that would be impressive. She wasn't given the chance to defend it in 2018, but she has taken the crown again in 2022.
What a special moment and a very deserving champion she is. We didn't know it, but her jump in the second round was good enough for victory. Look at this. That's
she's taken off.
Unbridled joy.
She's done it. She has jumped 7 meters. She found that extra centimeter. That's why she took off running.
Kenny Harrison got a good start. It's pretty even at the moment. Now the American coming away, and so too Toby Amerson in the middle. And Danielle Williams for Jamaica running well. Amerson from Harrison. That is a massive world record. Amazon is in green. Camacho Quinn second from the left. The Olympic champion's been left a little bit at the start by Armstrong. Amazon now beginning to come through. So too is Anderson. Toby Amerson. Look at the clock. I cannot believe it.
Very, very inspiring stuff to watch there. I mean, success has so many friends. So in spite of the fact that they're even women, everybody will support anybody who is doing well. And then if you follow the conversation in the studio, you could see that these women are making us so proud in spite of the fact that they are not getting all that they deserve. But I mean, we get to celebrate them and we're excited to do it. So this is still the Medley Show, and I still have Mimisan and Godwin in the studio. So I mean, Mimisan, tell me, how inspiring was that for you?
Very, very. I ended up in the football field. Okay. But athletics is my first love. Right. I don't miss any meet. I don't miss any championship. If I go back tonight and there's one at 1 a.m., I'm going to stay up and watch it. Wow. So I don't miss any of these that we've watched. These girls, I can imagine, because I tried sprinting once during my NYSC. Right. The first time they introduced the 100 meters, and I won the gold, the first ever gold medal for NYSC sports. Right? Yes, and I know what it took to win that gold. So I know how much effort they have put in, and I think every billboard in Nigeria, every contract, every sponsorship, every deal should go to these girls. Like I know what it means. Okay. That 10 seconds to win a race, you can imagine.
Godwin, do you agree?
Yes, I do agree, because like I've always said, for example, Toby Amerson, if you check her history before she got to this stage, it's not been an easy ride for her, you understand? So she needs all the support, she needs everything the Nigerian government needs to put in for her.
Let me interrupt you a little bit. So our phone lines have been open. Do forgive me for not mentioning it since we started, but you can join the conversation. I mean, I have some questions coming in already, but in case you haven't send your messages to 0811 77822020. The number should be on your screen. Messages only. I'll be very excited to read them on the show. So please, go ahead, Godwin.
Okay, like actually I was saying, Toby Amerson, you understand, before this last finals that she lost, it wasn't an easy one, you understand. She was temporarily banned. She got cleared like hours to the last heat. For she to have even qualified to the finals, I give her a thumbs up, because
I didn't even think she would make it.
With the psychological trauma, with everything, that is why I keep saying the Nigerian inbuilt strength and the motivation, the spirit, you understand. I could imagine her family keep pushing her, keep giving her the support. Now, so far so good that she had gotten us to this stage, up to this point. Let's ask ourselves back home in Nigeria, how many supports or how many billboards do you see around Nigeria that you see Toby Amerson being celebrated? Even in our state.
And that's true.
Even in our state, is she being celebrated? to that level. You understand? But you can't compare what the Jamaican ladies get when they go back to their country.
I mean, even if you see billboards with women, they are not Nigerians.
No.
If you see billboard with Nigerian athletes on it, they're female athletes now. They are not Nigerian.
So that's actually what I was saying. Even if you compare she and US counterpart, when after tournament that they go back home, if you could see the ovation from the what's it called from the airport. You understand the welcome ovation, the support, the encouragement, and they even will go as far as even building a stadium, a mini stadium or something in your name to encourage persons of your locals, you understand, to key into that sport. That's how people get passion to say, because of Toby and Musa, I would like to be an athlete. You understand? Now go to our own national stadium here. Can you train, you understand, on track and field in the stadium there?
No.
Is the facilities there? So those are the challenges. You understand? Because this is starts from small. The secondary schools, our secondary schools, how is the sports units in these secondary schools?
Some of them have been banned. Like, you go to schools now and some of them do not have a PE section. So this is what I'm doing with my own foundation.
Wait.
Yes.
For the ladies, they are not
just
No,
ladies.
not ladies.
Okay.
Like, there's no sports section in the school calendar.
But I don't know if this is a recent thing, because the days that I went to
Those
school,
are our days.
encouraged.
Those are our
Same
days.
thing with me. So
I mean,
now,
we were the ones who didn't want it, but it was
Exactly.
encouraged.
But right now,
But now, some of them are denied it.
Okay, we're going to continue. I mean, I have some messages and questions coming in already, but let's just go on a quick break. And we're back to the studio. I still have Mimisan and Godwin in the studio, and we're talking about not supporting this young, not just female sports in schools. Why do you think that isn't encouraged anymore? Is it because of the challenges you mentioned? I mean, they're not able to keep up with
failure. We do have a system failure. This is what I think.
When you say system failure, I would like you to keep it at sports, because you know, I
that's
did
what
mention
it means.
with all that you said, does it mean that our sports sector is plagued? So if we're talking about system failure, we're talking about sports, right?
Yes, because the secondary schools are governed by a body.
Yeah.
And everything that happens in the schools is being governed by this body, is being permitted by this body. So if the teaching service board, now I'm using Makurdi, is run, the schools are run by the teaching service board. If the teaching service board does not enforce sports in its curricula,
nobody will take it serious.
Exactly.
Okay, so I have a question here. I have a message that has already come in. And I mean, I think your story has inspired some young girl, because someone is asking, okay, hold on, I'll just open that quickly. Okay, so this is Jane from Lokogoma. She's asking, if I want to get into the refereeing business now, what do I need to do?
Every refereeing society or council, like they call it, has an office in every state. So if now in Abuja she wants to join the refereeing body, she needs to go to Area 3 at the old parade ground. There's a referees council there, so she would meet them and she would carry out the registration process, where she would be trained physically and technically on how to read and understand and now enforce the laws of the game. So
it's not that hard getting into it?
No, it's not that hard.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about international listings, but I have another question here, so I'm quickly going to let you take it, Godwin. Yeah. So this is Japa. There's no location stated, but I don't know if it's a he or her, but the person is asking, sorry, let me open that quickly. Okay, so the person is asking, what more can we do? What more can we do to encourage young people to participate in sports, regardless of all the challenges you've mentioned on the show?
Talent is key.
Yeah.
For example, that's the number one thing. You understand? Any athletes that want to succeed from the cradle age will actually tell him or herself, in which of the sports do I want to thrive? If it's track and field, if it's football.
This is the person who wants to do it now.
Yes, for example, now, you understand? So that's, for example, definition of the specialty of sports you want to enroll in or you want to go into will now spoil you, first of all. You understand? So the raw talent It's key because, for example, you cannot succeed. Let's say, for example, let's use wrestling, for example. It's the thinking, for example, that those from Bayelsa, those from River State will succeed more in wrestling. But it's wrong.
And I'm from Benue, and I'm wondering if I get into it, I may not do as well as
Benue is the home of sports, all sports.
I know why I brought that.
Are you from Benue?
Yes.
No wonder. How did I pick Benue? I'm not even from Benue State.
I'm coming. You understand? So if you think like that, you could get it wrong. You understand? But the self-determination of what I want to do will now define how your journey in sports will be. You understand? Role models actually also play is another factor. I like Cristiano Ronaldo. I like Usain Bolt. I like Toby Amusan. It could spoil you into building yourself into that specialty of sport, you understand, and you could go like that. So first of all, determination is key, self-belief, and the infrastructure for you to train with.
Because I felt like from the question, what the person is probably talking about is
infrastructure,
how to
support.
get what can be done
for me,
to encourage them to be part of it. But I like that you were actually advising the person to want to do it first. Regardless of what they see.
Do you know why I started with that? Because if you don't get that self-determination and belief and all of that, by the time you are exposed, you understand, in the sporting world, and you see that there is nothing on ground, for example, and let's say your family support isn't there, you could chicken out.
Okay, so I said I was going to talk about international listings, right? So how, I know that you mentioned a couple of female football clubs that we talked about in the beginning. When we're talking about football earlier, you mentioned the Edo Queens and all of that. How much international listings are these ladies exposed to, regardless of how much they're not pushed in quotes in our own country? How much international listings do they get?
Well, the club sides, when it comes to, if I really get you right.
Do we have a lot of our female footballers repping like the male, like we have the male in international football clubs?
Yes, they are repping, but we also do not celebrate them back home.
Until we need them.
Yes, as much as we celebrate that's actually where I'm going to. For example, let's come back home. I give you an example of Rivers Angels, Bayelsa Queens, and so on and so forth. Ask me in person, for example. I am very close to Bayelsa Queens. How many of their stars do I know in person? How do I celebrate them? You understand? So if, for example, I don't celebrate them as a sport enthusiast or as a sport reporter or journalist, or for example, how much more those outside will even know them? For example, in the last Nations Cup,
let me just cut you there. Not celebrating them, does it affect the endorsements of international fundings that they get?
Yes, it does. Because if you put them at par with their international athletes, for example, the last the last World Cup, there was a certain young lady by name Fortune. Nigeria was actually losing that match. I'm trying to get her, but I remember her name. Fortune was actually her name. Was it Fortune Sunday? And that match we were losing, and the great players were being pulled out of the match. The likes of Ajibade, and they brought her towards the 9 minutes of the match, and pam! Luckily, the tail end of the match, her shot hit the bar. And if she had scored that, for example, we would have won that match and went to the penalty, and we were knocked out. Now, if it was the what was it called?
The male.
Not the male, the foreign counterpart. That player would have been more celebrated. That lady's that made its impact. Yes, in that short time, she came. She was from Bayelsa Queens. Got into that. She was the only home-based player that was selected for that tournament.
Oh, nice.
You understand? And nobody gave her the support, the encouragement, and all of that.
Okay. Oh, God.
So these are the challenges they have in their foreign counterparts.
There's a lot to talk about. I mean, I have messages coming in. People are appreciating you and saying thank you for all the insight you brought to the show. But I wish we had more time to talk about it. I didn't even know would have that. I didn't know that there's so much to talk about when it comes to female sports.
Yeah, female sport is broad.
I'm glad that as a guy, you are celebrating it, seeing the challenges, calling it as it is, and of course giving the women their accolades. That's something that we really appreciate. I mean, we do, right?
Yes,
so Godwin and Mimi said, I'm going to say thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was an insightful conversation, and I'm sure you'll agree, right? Yes, they agree. They agree it was interesting. Thank you so much, Godwin and Mimi, for being on the Medley show today.
Thank you.
And this is where we draw the curtains for today. I'm sure you learned something, right? I'm sure you did enjoy our conversation as well. So I did see somewhere where it was written about female athletes. It said, know her name, know her game. So please know every female athlete and know her game as well. It helps to encourage them. I mean, we've not been doing all that, and look at what they're doing. Imagine what will happen if we celebrate them as much as they deserve. And with that, we come to the end of the show today. We will be here next week with something very, 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 very interesting. Trust me when I say very interesting, because I always bring it, right? Yes, I do. My name is Tochi, and that's all for today. See you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.